Is that
You's
black on black?
You's a. I call everybody on your live stream know you's a. And when I see you, I'm whooping your ass.
But it gets worse, way worse. But let's back up a little bit before I show you all, because some of you may have seen this clip before, but I guarantee a lot of you all may have not seen the rest of this clip because it gets way worse. But let's back up a little bit so I can show you or explain to you all how we got here. This is a guy by the name of Officer Tatum, who's a so-called black conservative who's made a very good career, I would say a very lucrative career, mostly criticizing people that look like him from his own community, which I 100% support. Holding your own community accountable, I support it. Although I do not subscribe to the political binary, as I believe that the left versus the right are two wings of the same bird and it's all corruption. If I was to be selected or placed into a category, my values are conservative. I want to state that at the beginning as a follower of Christ. However, it brings me so much joy to announce to you all that Officer Tatum is going through a very, very difficult time right now because right now in this country, many Americans are completely fed up with that one foreign nation that we can't talk about on YouTube, or we can't just outright name on YouTube without getting our videos flagged. But everybody should know who I'm talking about. That one nation that Bibi Netanyahu is the prime minister of. Well, Officer Tatum is a self-proclaimed Zionist, and so he is willing to do whatever is necessary, verbatim. He said himself he's willing to do whatever is necessary to support that foreign nation. Well, Officer Tatum is also in a much more interesting position because there's a guy by the name of Nick Fuentes who has been coming after Officer Tatum, and it's been very enjoyable to watch. Now, just as a disclaimer, just so you can know where I fall with Nick Fuentes, I think Nick Fuentes, which by the way, I created an entire documentary about Nick Fuentes. I think I was pretty fair. I think you should go and check it out, get a chance. Nick Fuentes is one of the, if not the greatest speaker under the age of 30 that I've ever heard before. And that's just my opinion. All right. Now, with that said, I also believe that Nick Fuentes is a hateful person. I also believe that he's a self-proclaimed racist. But most importantly to me, he is also someone who claims to be a follower of Christ that I do not believe is actually a Christian. I just don't believe that because his actions do not reflect that. His language does not reflect that, but we'll get into that just in a moment. Officer Tatum and Nick Fuentes are involved in a public beef right now. Which, by the way, if they were to ever debate, I think Nick Fuentes would absolutely wipe the floor with Officer Tatum. But I want you all to take a listen before we play this clip. I want you all to take a listen to the hypocrisy coming from Officer Tatum as he talks about his problem with Nick Fuentes and people who has a problem with this foreign nation. Hit the like button on your way in.
The grand finale. Nick Fuentes, as some people call him. Only reason why I'm making these videos is because I believe Charlie Kirk, if he was still alive, he'll be crying out for us to say, you cannot humanize idiot people. What does humanization mean? What? Humanization doesn't mean you can't interview them. You can't debate them. Humanization means during the debate, are you going to bring up any of this stuff that I'm about to show in my video?
It's so interesting to listen to Officer Tatum trying to educate people when he's just not, respectfully, he's not the most intellectual person or the most informed person when it comes to a lot of things, just being honest here. Because I don't even think humanize is the word that he's looking for. I think he's looking for a word more like maybe normalize or something like that. But you humanize a person. He's already human.
Are you going to challenge him on anything that you claim are your core values? Humanizing somebody is saying this person is like for instance, let's say Hitler was still alive. Well, let's say we can go back in time because Hitler would be 100 years old or something crazy. But let's just say we go back in time. During that time period, he did all these atrocities and all of the great, horrible things that he's done and the grave danger that he created amongst the world. Just say him and Stalin. If you interview Stalin, normalizing them would be like, I'm going to let them just say all this stuff and I'm not going to push back on what he's doing to the Jews. Stalin's mass murdering of so many people. I mean, Stalin actually killed more Jews than Hitler did. And you're not getting, it's like interviewing Stalin and not bringing any of that up. That's humanizing people or normalizing, not humanizing, but normalizing people.
Okay, I'm glad he made the correction, but I want you all to remember this part right here where he talks about humanizing. He's talking about humanizing people. Remember that he said that because that's going to be very important coming up here in a second.
People keep telling me, Brandon, you should debate Nick Fuentes. It's like, I'm not a wussy like Tucker Carlson and all these other people. You come on my show, bro, I'm going to get in your rear end. Pause. I'm going to get on your case, bruh.
I also want to say that I found it very, very interesting that Officer Tatum is sitting here saying that if he was PBD or Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or any of these people, Dave Smith, that's having Nick Fuentes on and they're not challenging any of the things that Nick Fuentes has said, he would actually challenge Nick Fuentes and humanize him. Officer Tatum, do you mean like the way in which you challenged and humanized Bibi Netanyahu? Officer, I was only spit on once when I went to that foreign nation. Tatum, is that what you mean? Officer Tatum, do you know that they're literally calling you APAC Shakur? Not Tupac Shakur, but APAC Shakur.
You're not finna sit across from me, all that junk you were talking online about me being stupid out there, and I'm not gonna say nothing about that. The crazy things you said about my friend Charlie Kirk, I'm not gonna confront you on that, bro. The stuff you said about Erica that was disgusting, I'm not gonna confront you on that.
Everything that Nick Fuentes said about Erica Kirk, which is coming up, was 100% fair game, and it was valid. He raised great points, and you're about to prove everything that Nick Fuentes said about Erica Kirk, or the questions he had about Erica Kirk, are fair questions. The things that Nick Fuentes said about Charlie Kirk when Charlie Kirk was alive were fair things that he said about Charlie Kirk. Let's state for the record, Charlie Kirk was terrified of Nick Fuentes. We're not going to be revisionists when it comes to history. He was terrified of Nick Fuentes. He dodged a dude. He banned the dudes from his TPUSA events, even though Nick Fuentes was just wanting to have a conversation. Charlie Kirk knew that if he had a conversation with Nick Fuentes, his donors were not going to be happy with it, because Nick Fuentes is somebody that I would say practices syncretism. He says a lot of truth, and he also sprinkles in lies with it as well. But the truth that Nick Fuentes says, a lot of it has to do with that foreign nation. And it's going to only hurt Charlie Kirk's cause and the things that his donors supported. So he dodged Nick Fuentes as best as possible.
You running your mouth using the N-word against black people. I'm not going to confront you on that. All right, don't believe me. Let's pull these clips up, bro. First clip of the day is what this fool said about me. Tell me that you would hear somebody like Charlie Kirk talk like this. Just roll the clip.
That's your
Roll
question?
sent $21. There's this guy called Officer Tatum, aka Officer Talmud. You should watch his 30 minutes crash to Nick Fuentes x Tucker Carlson interview. Lol, and his comments are filled with Zios who despise you.
Why would I? He's
Put this on my life. He would never say this to my face. You want to bet me? I will upload it on Instagram for you guys. If he would ever come and get in my face and say what he about to say on this thing, he would never do it. He would come when he approaches me, which he never would. He would be trying to be my friend and be nice to me, just like all these other fools that I catch in public. And they go, "Oh, Tatum." All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold up, one sec. Officer Tatum, the person that claims to be a conservative and the arbiter of free speech, an avid supporter of free speech, a former police officer. Sir, are you openly and publicly alluding to the fact that you would assault a person for, might I say, exercising their free speech? Nick Fuentes didn't even threaten you. He insulted you. He criticized you. And you're alluding to the fact that you would do something to this person for merely saying words about you? My, Officer Tatum, hypocrisy.
Amen. Tucker, some amen.
We shouldn't blur it. I want people to hear what he's saying.
Brandon Tatum is an idiot. Dumbest person I've ever heard. He should get an education. Officer Tatum should get an education. He should learn how to read.
And maybe he got the reading part right. But
So,
everything else is crazy. He said the N-word. He said all kind of other stuff in his speech. We were trying to block it so they don't ban us. But that's what he really said. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do on one of my other platforms that we don't get canceled on? I'm going to play the raw clip of it. Maybe on my Instagram or something, I'll play the raw clip. Y'all can go to my Instagram and find it, the raw clip of it, where he's saying the N-word and acting a fool.
Really? Really, Officer Tatum? Roll the clip.
Is that the black?
I told everybody on your live stream know you's a bitch. And when I see you, I'm whooping your ass got on live. You want to be hood, nigga? You want to be hood? You want to go talking shit and you call me and say you apologize? Yeah, nigga.
I never apologize.
You apologize?
I never
apologize. My wife listened to you.
I never apologize. What I said was
As I said, or as I meant to say at the very beginning, my biggest problem with Officer Tatum is that a lot of so-called black people don't like him because he's so critical about the so-called black community. That's not my biggest issue with him. My biggest issue with him is that he's not consistent. If you're going to be critical of your own community, even though I won't agree with you in every scenario, I don't mind you being critical of your own community. Hold us accountable. But why is it that Officer Tatum has made a lucrative career out of criticizing so-called black people, or specifically so-called black Americans and white liberals? But when it comes to so-called white conservatives that deserve the smoke, that are corrupt, that are wrong, all of a sudden Officer Tatum is blind, deaf, and ignorant. All of a sudden, he don't have no smoke for them.
But we got a whole bunch of other clips. Let's roll clip 402. And this is just a few clips I have. There's probably 400,000 clips of this fool just being a nut job. And Tucker brings him on, and people don't know this side of him, right? He go on PBD podcasts, he go on people's podcasts, and they go, but then people don't know that this is the other stuff he's saying on his own platform.
I agree with your point. Nick Fuentes does behave on his podcast one particular way, and then when he guest appears on other people's podcasts, he presents the more, it's almost like code switching. He presents the more polished version of himself. He shows the most educated side of himself, but the most vulgar things that he says, the most derogatory things that he says, the most offensive things that he says, he reserves that for his podcast when he's talking to a lot of people that support him. But Officer Tatum, I think you're giving some of these other people the benefit of the doubt, though, because when he shows up on the PBD podcast or the Tucker Carlson podcast or even Candace Owens podcast, these people know the things that this man has said. They know his positions. But it's a business decision to have this man on, amongst other reasons as well.
Roll the clip.
Hey, I'm a stone cold white nationalist, and I love Hitler, and I don't want Indians here, and I'm not a Democrat, okay? And I'm not woke, and I'm not liberal.
All right. And let me preface it too, because I don't want nobody saying, Brandon, you took that out of context. I watched the entire video. He goes on to act like, oh, we can't talk like this. We can't talk like this because it's bad. So he's doing that superfluously. So there's no additional context to what he said. Let's roll clip 403. Roll it.
It's like, lady, didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the no one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it.
Right.
Everyone was thinking it when she gave the first speech. Everyone was definitely thinking it at the memorial. Nobody wants to say it because it's inappropriate. It's insensitive. I am the troll, right? So I'll be the one to say it. I think it's super inappropriate. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's weird. It's bizarre. Something is off there and I don't like it. But they're doing the Super Bowl commentators with the headsets on, doing a media table. They're selling merch, registering voters. They got pyrotechnics. Is this WrestleMania or is this a funeral? Like, what are we doing here? And then the day after the funeral, I'm getting 500 texts and emails. Erica Kirk here. I miss him. Every time I blink, every beat of my heart. Make sure to donate $5, $15, $25. It's like, okay. Then they're doing a show. Did you see the show today? And so prescient. I said it last night. I said, I'm getting like a fake vibe. I'm not, something's off there.
Right.
And people say, well, everybody grieves differently. Yeah, I don't know how much mileage we can get out of that one anymore. Something's not right there. Very bizarre, weird vibe there. And did you see the show? Erica hosted the Charlie Kirk show this afternoon. And she's like, she looks like she's over the moon. She's happy as a clam. And again, who am I to judge? Everybody grieves differently. She's a very devout Christian. Some people say maybe that's just strength. That's resolve. I don't know. It's one thing if your husband dies, period. It's another thing if your husband dies at age 31. Unexpectedly. It's another thing if your 31-year-old husband unexpectedly dies because he gets publicly executed with blood gushing out in front of thousands of people screaming and running away. That's like something that's altogether different.
All right.
Now, think about if this was Charlie was alive somehow. He came back from the dead. What do you think he'll feel about a man talking about his wife like this?
One of the most bizarre responses I've ever heard in my life. That's like saying, looking at a woman who's overweight. There's no debate. She's overweight by standards, by the metrics. She's overweight. And a man saying, hey, this lady is overweight. And Officer Tatum saying, what do you think his husband would say if he heard this man saying that she was overweight? Well, his husband would probably be upset and would probably even do something about it. That doesn't change the fact that what he just said was factually true, was categorically true. It doesn't change that. She's overweight, bro. It's very interesting to me that Officer Tatum can listen to that Nick Fuentes clip what Nick Fuentes said nothing but fair and factual points about Erica Kirk, and what a lot of us, or most people that I've seen, are thinking about Erica Kirk. He sits there like Candace Owens and pretends that he doesn't see any of it. He doesn't understand any of it. Remember at the very beginning, I said that I want you all to remember how Officer Tatum was saying that Nick Fuentes should not be humanized, right? He's making that argument, right? I want you all to take a listen to something that Officer Tatum said a couple of days ago at the Republican Jewish Coalition event, whatever it's called, where I saw one of the most embarrassing clips from this guy. He gets up there and he's advocating for a group that don't even care about him. He's advocating for a group as a Christian. He proclaims to be a Christian when these people don't even believe in Jesus as Lord. He gets up there and he's advocating for a group of people after he's made a career of only bashing his own people. Roll the clip.
Y'all keep praying for me. I said, I want them to turn that place into a parking lot. I gotta preface it because somebody gonna clip this and put it on the internet. Not because of the Palestinian people per se, individual people, but because if you dare to do such an atrocity to people that I love, people that I respect, people that are chosen by God, you decide to do something like that, you should never have an opportunity to do it again. And it should be an example to everybody in the world that if you ever think about trying something like this, your country will cease to exist. That Israel is one of our greatest allies. And for people to think otherwise, you fall in one of two categories. You're either ignorant or you simply hate Jews. Quit lying to yourself. Quit trying to cover. You just hate Jews. Just say it. I don't want to hear I'm just asking questions no more. You're not just asking questions. Asking questions means you do your research first before you put something out into the atmosphere. It's not asking questions to make accusations. If you somehow think the Jews run the world, you are a fool. If you somehow think that Bibi Netanyahu runs Donald Trump, you are a fool.
You want to know what makes that even more ironic? It literally goes against the very thing that Charlie Kirk said.
I am going to continue to ask the question, a 20-hour response in a country the size of New Jersey. That begs a big explanation. And more importantly, America is significantly underwriting the Israeli government $4 billion a year. We as American taxpayers deserve answers to this. We deserve answers. Also, if we're going to get into a regional or world war based on an intel failure, we pay for this. What are we buying, right? I got smeared as a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, and conspiracy theorist because I said exactly what I just said. And I refuse to back down despite all the smears thrown at me because I learned during COVID. I learned when they told us that it came from a bat in the Himalayas. I learned when they told us the vaccine was safe and effective. I learned when they told us that ivermectin was horse paste, that you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm going to say it again.
You just hate Jews. Just say it. I don't want to hear I'm just asking questions no more.
That you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free.
Officer Tatum is a hypocrite. Then he goes on to the Timcast or the Tim show, and then he answers this way when being asked about his own community.
Now there's a conversation popping up around interracial violence where, Will Cain talked about it. Matt Walsh is talking about it. I'm curious your thoughts on this as part of the conversation that black on white violence is 26 times higher than white on black violence. Do you think that's because of these narratives and that feeling you described?
1,000%. When you're raised to view white people from the lens of people who created slavery, which is how most people are receiving this information about slavery, and they're evil and they're conquerors all over the country, all over the world. They conquered Native Americans. These are evil evil white people. And what did they do to our ancestors? They hung them from trees, they mutilated them, Jim Crow. When this is punched into your brain, and then every time you get pulled over by a white cop and you black, they just gun you down like an animal. You feel oppressed, you feel angry, you feel vengeful, and it's all a lie.
Why aren't you humanizing the Palestinians, Officer Tatum? Why aren't you humanizing your own community, Officer Tatum? Why aren't you showing the same amount of grace for so-called Black Americans, for people that look like you, Officer Tatum? Be critical, hold us accountable, but have the same amount of grace. You seem to have an exponential, unheard of, unprecedented amount of grace for some community overseas that you're calling your friends that I bet you've never met in your life. You wish that if you were the prime minister, you would turn it into a parking lot? This guy is a walking contradiction.
Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.